Hey everyone, so this is the project car that I picked up last winter. Trying to get it on the road. It's a 1970 Nova. I do have pretty much the whole car here. I've just been trying to get it back on the road as cheaply as possible for right now. This is sort of how it sits. I just want to make a video and kind of document my process, but it's got pretty much all the interior and stuff in here. It's just all been torn apart. All the wiring was removed, and this is actually my engine rebuild kit stuff right here, but got all that in there, and the rest of it's kind of piled up in the trunk here with some other miscellaneous junk and whatnot, but I'll get to that here pretty soon. So this is kind of how it sits, but wanted to go over where I'm at right now. I ended up getting 2 engines when I got this car. They're just small block Chevys. And I've learned a few things about this because I actually trained as an auto body tech and paint, that kind of stuff, so I'm not super familiar with engine things, but just a couple of things that might help you guys out if you're working on small block Chevys as well. The first thing that I found out is when Chevys run, the piston goes up and down the cylinder, but the piston comes up pretty far, but the rings don't actually go all the way to the top of the cylinder. They stop pretty much right where this line is. You can tell the color difference. And so the rings wear on the cylinder wall down here, but since they don't come up all the way, they don't wear down this part, and that leaves an edge. So I can feel that pretty hard edge right there. So what happened to me is I was just tearing this engine down to see if I could, if it was still usable and all that kind of stuff, to rebuild it. And the very last piston that I was tapping out, actually the part of it caught this edge and broke a chunk off of it. So that really wasn't very cool. But the best thing to do is actually take your heads off, and before you actually pop the pistons out is to go get a ridge reamer tool, or a cylinder ridge reamer tool. I've called around, and most O'Reilly's or Schuck's, whatever auto parts stores you might have in your area, actually carry that tool for rent. You can go give them a deposit. Well, actually at O'Reilly's you can give them a deposit and use the tool for a couple days, take it back to give you a full refund, so it's kind of like a free rental. But it's a pretty simple tool. It just kind of clamps itself into the cylinder, and you spin it and it shaves this edge off. So do that prior to popping the piston out and you won't break it on this edge. So that's the first thing I recommend. The other weird thing that I kind of found out, I guess it's pretty common, is I pulled the heads off. One set of heads was just a lot cleaner than the other set I had, just much less carbon buildup and stuff like that, but there was a burned valve, and a couple of the other valves were just kind of leaky. I wasn't able to lap them out, so I thought that I would just pull those valves out and grab a couple of valves from the other set of heads I had, just switch them out, but unfortunately the valve stems ended up being a different diameter and they wouldn't fit. So I ran some casting numbers, and it turns out this actually had 305 Chevy heads on it, little smaller ones, and the other set were 350 Chevy heads. So the valves are a different size, so some of the parts aren't necessarily interchangeable, but I guess you can actually run 305 or 350 heads, just fine on a small block 350 block, and no issue there. You get a little bit better compression and maybe some better gas mileage, I don't know. So that's where I'm at with that. So I've got this engine completely torn down. I'm just trying to do this on the cheap. I bought a engine rebuild kit, as you've seen in that box in the car, for this. I had my brother took the engine out and had it hot tanked, and, well, not really hot tanked, but he ran through a solvent washer machine of some kind. So this is all stripped down, and we popped the cam bearings out of it a couple nights ago, and they had some chunks missing out of them. They were pretty bad. Maybe I'll take some pictures and another video of that later. But hopefully tonight we'll get the new cam bearings in and clean up some other stuff. Get this thing on its way to running and driving, hopefully. So that was just my first update, but I'll see you guys in the next video.